because we double down on the things we have in common, it helps us forget all the things that make us different. And I think there's a universal message in that in these days, because I think all people do is focus on how we vote differently, eat differently, see differently, parent differently, breastfeed differently, you know. And I think what's important is we look at the things that we have in common and focus on that, and the other shit doesn't matter, you know.
And we've had people approach us after a variety show too, saying, I don't know the last time I've laughed this hard, and I didn't realize how badly I needed it. Because we get so in the trenches of life. I mean, life sucks. Life is hard sometimes. Being able to be in a room with people and just have something amuse you for a while, it's that reprieve. And we often call what we do a long-lasting, momentary distraction.
Whether a moment is mundane or whether it's monumental, there's meaning in there. And if there's a chance to disrupt the monotony and make it just a little blip on the radar, that's what makes it unforgettable.
My guests today are Mo Barrett and Katy Stevens. Mo and Katy are unlikely best friends, building a world with unforgettable experiences that entertain and empower by using humor in unexpected ways. Mo is a retired Air Force colonel turned public speaker. Katy is a music and performance instructor turned co-speaker and Mo wrangler. The duo collided at a barbershop quartet singing event, and despite all of the ways that they're different, they choose to lean into the strength of things they have in common, recognizing, acknowledging, appreciating, and leveraging their respective quirks. Together, they take stages as corporate entertainers and educators on a journey to uncover the extraordinary in the ordinary. Whether it's small moments that resonate deeply to grand adventures that shape us, Mo and Katy know that life isn't just about the notable moments. It's also about the often hilariously unexpected ones. Through all of their endeavors, Mo and Katy leverage humor to disrupt monotony and create unforgettable experiences. Mo and Katy are the most likable, unlikely duo, with their huge hearts, playful perseverance, drive to disrupt, and their mission to make moments to remember. Get ready for a dose of the Mo and Katy Show, right here on Soulgasm with Polo Rio Tate.
Oh,
Yes.
I want to welcome you both to the Soulgasm podcast.
Yay!
We are so excited.
Oh, I am honored and so excited to have you both on this podcast. As you know, we are spilling the secrets of how to live an all-in, all-win life. And for me, just as a side note to sort of launch us into this conversation, I just finished writing my next book called Worthy, How to Live an All-In, All-Win Life.
Nice.
Before I publish that book, there are things that I need to learn, that I want to learn from amazing people like yourself, how to get the most out of this life experience, how to really feel more and do more and have more and be more in the full expression of our true selves. So often we don't give ourselves permission. And you two, Katy and Mo, exemplify this so beautifully. And so welcome. I'm so happy to have you.
Oh, we are honored to be asked. So
Yes.
thank you so much.
We just wanted to hang out with you, Polo.
I know.
That's what we wanted to do.
Actually, there's no podcast. We are just hanging out.
I knew it.
It's all a ruse.
Yes.
Finally, someone
This
said
is
yes.
an elaborate prank. It's very impressive.
But it worked.
It is
We made a
amazing.
logo,
Yeah,
everything.
everything.
Jeez.
I feel like that totally is it. That sometimes it's just an excuse to get amazing friends in the same virtual room
I know,
to
right?
talk about
Hey,
life.
whatever it takes.
See, Mom, I really do have friends. Okay.
And they love me.
Well, I don't know about that. The jury is still out.
We love
Give it
you.
We do.
I love you. I just love you more than Katy loves you.
No,
I'm competitive.
she checked the box that she loved me back, so I don't even want to talk about it.
I did. I sent that note right back to you, just like it was 6th grade biology.
I know,
Right
it's
there.
folded up and everything.
That's right.
It was folded up in a tiny, tiny little origami, or triangle football is actually probably, or
Yeah,
what
right.
used to be a flat.
Yes. A crane.
Exactly. I want to first ask you, as we start all of our podcasts out, with the number one question that I have just in life. It's my favorite question, and I'm so curious what the answer is. Please feel free to answer individually and then together. But what are your passions? Katy and Mo, what lights you up?
Incandescent bulbs, I think, mostly.
Usually.
Yeah.
Wow, still with the incandescent.
Candle.
How non-LED and non-green of you.
No eco there.
I'm sorry. I meant an energy conservating, will last for 20 years LED bulb. No.
So you have the little green logo down at the bottom when that happens.
We are LEED certified.
Wow.
Passion. You want to go
This
first?
No, go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So she's passionate onto me.
I'm
That was funny. I'll tell you why later.
Passionate. Oh,
Yes. For me, what lights me up and what I'm passionate about is making people laugh. That is when I can connect with somebody and somebody laughs. That just makes my day. That is my currency. My life's currency is laughter.
And ironically, something that lights me up is when someone makes me laugh. So, see,
at gunpoint,
match made in heaven.
Laugh.
When someone makes me laugh and you feel that connection. So you realize someone, and it all goes back to being seen, heard, understood, appreciated. So you've got that moment of connection where you are just fully appreciating who that other person is and enjoying, releasing all the endorphins and laughing and just being together.
Yeah.
I think that's fabulous. So,
well, the other thing, Polo Polo will appreciate this because, like, the three of us hit it off the minute we met, and it was really powerful because there was that. I don't even know what you would call it, but it was just sometimes it's our weirds calling to each other. But one of the acronyms, because we love the acronyms. One acronym that we've come up with is, just like Katy was saying, is we like to value in others. We want to see them, hear them, understand them, appreciate them, and celebrate them. In other words, we want to schwack them. So our goal right now is to schwack as many people.
Schwacked.
Yeah. So consider this your Mo and Katy schwacking today.
You're welcome.
I am so honored. I want you to schwack me across the heart anytime.
Yes, you betcha. You betcha. If you schwack enough times a day, you will have a soulgasm. So, I mean, there's that.
Amen. We're going to get into your process later. Right? And I'm going to take copious notes. And speaking of when we met, that kismet sort of the shared, whatever you want to call it, that chemistry, that
German?
connection.
Is that German?
I believe it might be Yiddish.
She's very fancy.
Okay.
It is, yeah.
Okay. Is there good? Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
Is it Yid or is it Yiddish?
oh my God, it's Yid adjacent.
Oh my God.
12.
I
Okay.
literally am just finding a bobby pin in my hair or a Barbie pin, according
Barbie
to
pin. That's
No.
yeah.
Okay. Anyway, what else are we
can
gonna
Can I just ask a question? When did you put that in?
find?
All
I
bets
would
are off.
prefer to take the fifth on that.
Yeah, I would
just
probably.
for
So
fear.
5 days
No,
ago.
I get
Yeah.
that. I have found random bobby pins in my head before.
Yeah.
Same here.
Like, how long
Same
has
here.
that been there?
If I had a dime, I would
Have 10
have
cents.
a dime.
Okay, spoiler alert.
I want to
did put it
know.
in my-
I want to know what
I
else
did
is
put
in
it in my
there.
hair just to shower 2 seconds ago. Okay, that is. I really wonder what else I'm gonna find by the end of this podcast.
Like a
Anyway,
sandwich or a kitten.
I wanted to get into that though because we met when Mo and I were doing our TED Talk in Youngstown, Ohio, and
Yes.
Katy was there in her infinite support of Mo, and
Yes.
you two just finished doing your TED Talk as a duo, and it was
Yes.
brilliant. We'll put the links in the show notes, not to worry.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
But
you.
holy full circle moment. I'm so glad that we're doing this now, right after you all did that.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
Yes.
And when we were talking and when we met during our TED Talk in Youngstown, we quickly found out that Mo and I both went to the United States Air Force Academy.
Yeah.
Not together, not at the same time,
No.
but with infinitely different experiences, which I absolutely love and appreciate. So
Mhm.
talk to us a little bit about that, if you wouldn't mind, just in terms of, I think so often, like we've said before, we don't give ourselves permission to be the full expression of our true selves. And I've had the honor of sort of witnessing your brilliance. Anybody who wants to witness their brilliance, please check out their podcast, The Mo and Katy Show. Please check out their website, unforgettableexperiences.com. We're going to put all that in the show notes. But truly, your amazing friendship and your comedic chemistry. Talk to me, if you wouldn't mind, because you are so different, and yet
Mhm.
you just described in terms of those puzzle pieces fitting together, where Katy, you love when somebody makes you laugh. Mo, your currency is to make somebody laugh. Like, that is kismet. Like, that is the spark of connection that
For
creates sort of
sure.
that soulgasmic relationship.
Mhm.
What made you two give yourselves permission to just go all in and take your friendship on the road to stages worldwide?
I think we started as we got to know each other better. So we with the night that we met each other, it was because Mo said something that made me laugh. And if you watch our TED Talk, you'll hear that story. It's actually how we start off our joint TED Talk.
Mhm.
And we ended up in a women's barbershop quartet together. And
As you do.
over time, yes, as what
Did you?
as two of four do. And as we spent time together, we were kind of a long distance quartet. So we would be together like one weekend a month, just over meals and games. I like every time, Mo would come back with her quick and clever wit, and I would try to go toe to toe with her. It's like we realized that there was something really special in our weirds matching.
Mhm.
And it really, at that moment, it does not matter how vastly different our backgrounds are, because finding that weird matching, and we met each other at such a pivotal time. My youngest son had just graduated from high school. I had been homeschooling, so I was all in for several years. Mo had just retired from a distinguished, almost 30-year career in the military. And we were both on the precipice of this second act. And I don't think either one of us knew quite what it was going to look like. And then we landed in each other's lives. I mean, literally within months of these events happening.
Yeah.
And it just, and I think I told her for a full year, I was like, we've got to start a podcast. We just need to turn a camera on and capture this craziness. And there we go.
Well, and I think too, the other thing is because, Jacob had just graduated and I had just retired. Uh, I'll speak for myself. I was lost. I had no idea. My identity for 3 decades had been in the uniform, and I had no other identity outside of that. And I'm still trying to figure it out. But we were both at this point where we were like, what is next? And so I think that was a good thing in that it helped us focus on the couple things that we had in common. Because, like you said, like on paper, we are so different. I mean, it's almost like every little category you could come up with, we are opposite or just different. But I think because we were both lost, it was like you kind of grasp onto that one thing that you do have in common. And the one thing that I always say is because we double down on the things we have in common, it helps us forget all the things that make us different. And I think there's a universal message in that in these days, because I think all people do is focus on how we vote differently, eat differently, see differently, parent differently, breastfeed differently, and I think what's important is we look at the things that we have in common and focus on that, and the other shit doesn't matter. After a
Mhm.
while, it's just like that's not important that you had no military exposure. It's not important that I don't have kids, that are walking on 4 legs.
Sometimes my kids walk on 4 legs.
Yeah,
It's
well,
kind of weird,
so
but whatever.
but I mean, if you just double down on the things that you have in common with people.
Yeah.
That's I mean, talk about the universal message in terms of celebrating one another and celebrating
Yeah.
the fact that we are far more similar than we are
Yeah.
dissimilar. We are
Yeah.
far more similar than we are different. And when you put your emphasis wherever energy goes, wherever focus goes, energy flows, right? Whatever you
Mhm.
focus on gets bigger.
Yeah.
So if we turn our attention and focus on our similarities, then that it actually edges out any anxiety, any of that
Yep.
fear of our differences, so that when we come from that space of celebration of one another, now we can actually look at our differences as celebratory. And this is something that you two do beautifully, actually quite exquisitely, is celebrate your own personal quirks, but your differences. Because having such vastly different backgrounds, you cannot help but sort of look through the lens of absurdity that at the differences that are so stark after having come with an open heart and to celebrate your similarities. So I wildly appreciate that perspective. I think it is as universal as it gets, especially in this time right now where everything is divisive and the ire of the world is sort of very inflamed right now. If we do take your advice and really focus on pardon me, celebrating seeing one another, hearing one another, understanding one another, validating one another, all of those, schwacky things that
Schwacky.
Super schwacky.
Yeah.
It's a recipe for connection.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, now we're cooking. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Now I'm hungry.
You were dancing a second ago. I'm not sure what that was.
No
You
one
can
is.
dance and cook at the same time.
One of my favorite things that we've done with the podcast is we've done a recurring segment called Correct Me If I'm Wrong. And we actually double down on the areas of life that each of us have expertise. And the one person who does not have the area of expertise starts to explain it and answer questions. Of course, my personal favorite is where Mo explains childbirth. Very good.
We are educators first.
We
if
are.
anything.
We are.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
We believe in
My favorite is you talking about military ranks.
I was going to say military ranks. I talked about soccer one time. Very, very informative.
That
Mo
went
talked
well.
about crocheting. You'll learn stuff. It might not be true, but you'll learn stuff.
It's not useful stuff.
So, but yeah, the childbirth is a personal favorite episode. It's
Episode. Thank you for saying episode, because you did it 4 times. I did it none times, but I am an expert.
You haven't given birth to your fur babies because they
No.
are so fun.
I know we have the same eyes, but yeah. Just...
You do. Oh my God, you're absolutely adorable in that tiny little nose. It's amazing.
So Polo, you'll appreciate that. So when we do like a lot of speaking workshops, and one of the things was, because we always come, all of our presentations are dual, and one of our goals is always to, and same thing with the TED Talk, was we want to present something that it's not just one script divided into 2. We want to make sure that it's something that can only be presented by 2 people. So when we do workshops or MC things, we always try to come out with that angle. So we were in a workshop and we were practicing a speech we're getting ready to deliver. And we had an improv coach, and the improv coach is like, okay, do it like a cheerleader. You're both cheerleaders, or you're both plumbers. And we're like, okay, so we're ready for all this stuff. It's going to be a florist. It's going to be this, all this character stuff. And then he goes, okay, here's how I want you to do it. Mo, I'm like, here it is. I'm going to have to be a cheerleader or something. He goes,
your favorite.
You're Katy, and Katy, you're Mo. We had to do it like each other. We did not see that coming. And it was so funny because we were able to play up in a caricature form each other, so.
But the thing too, the other thing, sorry to interrupt you, that we have a very deep trust in each other too, that allows us to take stages. We've both taken stages and been in front of people in various ways our whole lives. And I am never more at ease when I take a stage with her. Mm-hmm. And so even in that.
Why is that? Just out of curiosity, what allowed you to build that trust?
I don't know. I mean, it never seemed like something for me personally, that I set out to do. It's just been there. It's been very innate, all the way through everything we've done.
I think for you, it's a better question of why, and I'd love to know the answer. For me, because I feel the same way. So I have my individual speaking business, but I am putting all of my investment and resources into our speaking and entertainment business, because I actually don't like being the center of attention. I don't like being in the spotlight, and I get that there's times.
Isn't that surprising?
Yeah. Yeah. But hey, I'll sign up for a TED Talk. I'll apply for that, and I'll give because I do want to go for the laughter. And I do feel like I have a perspective that is, I do like to educate and teach. But I don't necessarily like being the center of attention. I can't really go through that. My therapist and I are working through that right now. But what I love about taking the stage with Katy is that I'm not in the spotlight by myself. And we do have this very, very deep implicit trust. And there's a level of mind reading. And I mean, from a comedic standpoint, that one of us has to be the straight man and one of us has to be the stooge. And so, and we can flip into that very, very quickly and seamlessly and without communicating. She knows if I start acting goofy that she's the straight man. And if she starts acting goofy, I know that I have to ironically be the straight man.
Ironic.
So, yeah. But
when the gay girl's the straight man, that's going to be the name of our next
band
bio. Next
Nowhere.
autobiography.
Yeah. So I know that that's why I feel more comfortable, but I know that your Myers-Briggs is the entertainer. Like if there's a spotlight, she'd be grabbing cameras and getting more cameras on her and more lights on her.
It's almost pathetic, but it's so true. So true.
Thank God for it, because it brings you to the world. Anyway,
anyway, so I don't know why.
I don't know if I know why either, though.
Excellent. We're so prepared for this podcast.
I just so believe in what we have to say together. I think that's what it is. I just so believe in, again, what we bring to the table together. And I feel like with us and with our brand, and I'm so grateful for this, that 1 + 1 is more than 2. It's exponential. And I am grateful because I also realize, and we say this to each other, I don't know that everybody in their lifetime gets to have a friendship and business partnership like we do. And I'm so grateful for it. So, so grateful.
This trust, even as indefinable as sort of the origin of it is palpable in everything that you do. And to me, like what bubbles up instantly when I see, I have like rolling chills right now, by the way. When I
you might have the flu.
Probably it, but we'll deal with that later.
Just look in your hair. You might find some cold.
Yeah, there might be like a cold pack or NyQuil.
Oh, there we go.
Ibuprofen.
Wow, always come prepared. And if I'm not prepared, my hair always is.
See, it has its own podcast.
Be sure to pack your hair.
It absolutely does. It's like, why am I doing yours when I can do my own? Anyway, but what bubbles up for me instantly in terms of the palpable chemistry and trust that I feel from you guys, witness, because it makes an audience feel safe as well, is that you're coming from a place of such pardon me, consummate love. You're coming from a place of such consummate reverence for one another and respect for one another that I don't worry. You know how comedians have less than 2 seconds to win over an audience so that the audience will trust them, right? You step on stage, you have less than 2 seconds for the audience to be like, okay, I'll follow you through the woods of this performance. And part of that is like soothing our nervous system. And when we are like put on tilt, or when we are put on edge, when you never know if somebody's going to lacerate somebody else or be mean, essentially, then you're constantly sort of on that razor's edge. And it works for some people. Some people like roasts and all of that. But the undercurrent of sort of love and respect is very, very, very deep on that. It is sometimes unfindable and sometimes non-existent.
Yeah.
But with you, that undercurrent, that platform, foundation, whatever you want to call it, of respect and reverence for one another, it is rock solid, steady, and a solid base for whatever you are going to do, which puts my nervous system at ease, which puts your audience's nervous system at ease. You're always going to support one another. You're always going to say yes and, all of those beautiful rules of improv that we both love, that we all love,
Yeah.
But it's a supportive environment.
Yeah.
And if that's not a metaphor for this whole earthly experience and exactly what you were talking about in terms of celebrating our similarities, holy shit balls, what if, you know?
Yeah.
No, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that means a lot. Thank you.
Well, geez, the truth is easy. It's true because and also it's rare to the extent that you have it. And I know that you all work on it. I mean, if you can bear with me, let's nerd out just a tiny bit.
Yes, we
about
love
your
that.
tiny bit about your process, because now that you've taken this beautiful friendship and this beautiful comedic chemistry out onto stages worldwide to do corporate events, you've done weddings, you have a podcast and a show that you've done both on camera and live. So I want to nerd out a little bit over your process, because I know, having witnessed Mo prepare for her TED Talk,
Yes.
that girl is meticulous in terms of preparation.
She works so hard, Polo. And I get frustrated on her behalf because she's also spontaneous, quick, clever, but she works very, very hard. She does not just get up and flippantly do what she does. Every word is fashioned to be a certain way. And I think for us, thinking back on our process, a lot of it has started with like puns. We had the opportunity to enter the O. Henry National Pun Off, and together we wrote this blues song that had 36 puns in 90 seconds or something like that. But and it's funny because we're talking about things that are funny, but we do it in a very nerdy way. So we've got this whole piece of paper with words written on it and rhymes, and this word could be this word and all this stuff.
So and I wish we had cameras rolling every time we do this, but like when we were writing that song, I think my only input, and I said it very seriously because we had this butcher paper filled with all these puns. We had themes for each verse. And I said, the last verse was going to be all medical stuff. And I said, listen, I think the last pun, number 36, has to be rectum. I don't know how you do it, but it needs to be the last word. And there was no laughter. There was no it wasn't like a butt joke. And and I said, I just need the last pun to be rectum. And we're like, okay, so now we have to build up to rectum. Yeah. So, I mean, but to
be fair, I mean, that is always a showstopper when anybody ends a conversation or.
Yeah, that's about the end of it.
Yeah.
So. If it's not the number one thing to do, but it's probably the number two.
Well, we don't want to make any assumptions, though.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So.
Oh my God.
But so I think that's kind of where it started. It just and when we write a parody, everything is, and again, we analyze it so much that we're talking about things that are funny in a way that we're not laughing because we're like working so hard. And there are even times where I have to stop and be like, okay, wait, is this still funny? Okay.
Yesterday, we're getting ready to do we're emceeing an event this weekend, and we've been working on the script for a couple weeks. And so yesterday over Zoom, we did a table read because we're still trying to massage it and we're reading it. And I had written this one section and I thought it was funny. And so we read it.
Famous last word.
Anyway. Yeah, right. Yeah. Delusions of hilarity. And so we read it, and then I just was kind of pausing, and I said, "Is that not funny?" She goes, "Oh no," because she was in such work mode. She goes, "I'm sorry, it is funny. It's just, we don't have time to laugh now. We'll just so
we're working."
But I mean, when we start a process, first of all, everything that we do is always customized. So it's not that we rewrite our material. Our core templates and our frameworks always stay the same. But we research the company, we research the business, we research the school. And like one of the things with trivia is whenever we do trivia, corporate trivia or university trivia, we use the attendees as the questions. So we had done this event. It was an icebreaker. It was kicking off this whole weekend for a women's military leadership event. And we used all the keynote speakers who were all notable first in their field. We used them as questions for the trivia question. And so put a Barbie pin in that for a second. But
wait, I've got another. Hang on one second.
Yeah.
I just found one in my pocket.
Oh my God,
where did you actually?
Yeah,
I got you, Polo.
Prison wallet.
I'm your spirit animal. I got it.
Oh my God, you are my spirit animal. Anyway,
I'll put it in your hair. Okay, go ahead.
But so the first element of it is we do our research. We don't just take a copy paste, and we don't bring that. We always do something that's tailored to our audience so that we can meet them where they are. So we are very deliberate about that. But just the same way I get that comment a lot about, oh, Mo just gets up there and talks out her ass. Sometimes I do.
I prefer rectum, but anyway.
Rectum. Oh yeah. These are the puns, people. You can direct them how you need to. But with our stuff, we are very, very deliberate about even when she cuts me off. All that stuff is so calculated, and I think people would be really surprised. We heard a lot of people basically we heard people basically talking about us saying that we don't work hard because we just get up there and we do it naturally. We're like, you have no idea. We hours of footage, hours of rehearsing over Zoom and timing, and we get together twice a week to rehearse our, whether it's our songs or whether it's our scripts, of especially in like for the TED Talk when we did the dovetailing. I mean, there were times I'm like, you got to cut me off sooner, or you're cutting me off. The joke isn't going to land because they can't, like, we plan for all of that stuff. And in fact, and then the other part of our process. So you want to talk about the thirds, since you were doing all the math earlier?
It takes a lot of makeup to get the natural look. So it takes a lot of preparation.
Yes, especially when this is your foundation.
Foundation, once again, nice pun.
Yes, foundation. When we work on anything, we always, it's become that we divide it into thirds. So the first third is the writing, and Mo does the majority of our writing. She is a brilliant writer. Every word is like, it's just so.
And what's the
brilliantly
second
written.
third?
The second third, since you don't like me to gush over you, the second third is the rehearsal.
I'm not sure I would trust Katie with the math before she said that 1 + 1 is more than 2. So
I know that's why she gets all of our math stuff.
This is more of a pie chart.
Never mind the half Asian.
I'm not
here,
the Asian.
but...
Yeah, I was going to say. I was going to get our abacus out. Let's see. The second third is rehearsal, which tons and tons of rehearsal. And then the last third, we know we're not going to have until the day of the performance, because it's the audience. It's interacting, reading the energy of the audience, hearing them laugh, hearing them react. Even when we did our TED Talk, Mo kept saying, like, I'll be okay once I get the first laugh. And it wasn't all just funny. There was, some things that we wanted to teach there too. So it's really, really honoring and giving time to all three of those thirds when we're preparing something, and realizing it's not going to be complete until the performance, because that is where the circle.
And the other point, getting all deep and poignant here in the closet as you do, but the other thing is, so talking about the thirds, it's the content, it's the rehearsal, and it's the live performance. However, it's cyclical. For example, when we did our TED Talk, we had two things. We had like 30 friends over, and we all gave them a lot of liquor, so they were funnier, we look better, we dance better. Yeah,
I believe that's the fourth third. Anyway,
yes, it is. It's really a fifth, if you will. But
public math.
That was a whiskey pun, but I took it anyway. So we
that was a good one. Sorry.
Why do you look so surprised?
I know that was utter shock, is what that was. That was shock.
Yeah. Well, she always says she's not as good of a punner as I am, but she'll come out with like some really, really good ones.
But when I do, watch out, write them down, make a calendar.
That's right. Brace yourself, Effie.
Yeah. So Soulgasm, I get it. It's okay. So we did our TED Talk, and it was the week before we left, and we invited some friends and family over, and we said, look, we're not looking for feedback necessarily. We need to deliver it in front of that third. Yeah. And we did it, and two things happened. There was one thing that was not intended to be funny, and they laughed, and we're like, I think even in the rehearsal, I'm just like, well, that was unexpected. I said to her, that was unexpected. Yeah. And then they laughed again at something. The next, there was something happened that we did not script, plan, or intend to be funny, and it came across as funny. There was another thing that we did where we had a pink elephant. It was supposed to be the elephant in the room, and we picked it. We spent hours putting this damn thing together. Named her. Her name was Ella F. Ante.
She's so cute.
Then and I walked her across the stage, and nothing. No one laughed. No one got it. And so at the end, we're like, I know we didn't ask for feedback, but now we want your feedback. What happened with that one thing that you laughed at? And what happened with the elephant? And in that moment, because of the feedback we got from that third, we changed our content. Because we changed our content, we had to change our rehearsal and
a week before presentation.
Yeah, a plan for the laughs that we got, and we had to kill the elephant. So a week before, based on that third.
Humanely.
So that got dark very quickly.
Well, You're welcome, PETA. Yeah. But I think
we're not eco, and we're totally anti-PETA.
That's right. Incandescent bulbs that will burn out in about 2 hours
and kill an elephant.
And all the Aquanet that Polo used on her hair. So bye-bye, ozone.
Which means I have not washed my hair since the 1980s when Aquanet was used. Wow.
Bam.
Wow.
Well, that
Wow.
explains the Barbie pins.
Tell me you're over 50 without telling me you're over 50.
Wait, are you over 50? Oh, you're not going to tell me that you're
I'm
over
20
50.
months younger than you are, but whatever.
Shut up. Oh, see, more with the math again.
See, love and respect.
That means I'm
Love.
150 years older than you are. Anyway, whatever.
But again, the whole cyclical nature, because I think a lot of times people write, then they get so wedded to that content, then they rehearse it. And even if it doesn't go as planned, they stick to it and they don't let it go because it's their baby. And it's like, you have to be willing to let that go if it doesn't work for that third, or if it doesn't work for what you're presenting, or doesn't work for us as a duo. It's like, you have this content, there has to be some like lack of pride and ownership, but there has to be pride and ownership, but you can't get so wedded to it that it's like, I mean, we spent hours on that damn elephant, tracing it, cutting it out, find the cardboard. We covered it in pink duct tape. It was a whole thing. And then it wasn't a thing because it didn't land. It didn't work for that third. And we're glad we did that because
we would have cut it at the event
day
and that
of.
would have been tough.
Yeah.
So
I'm so glad. I've heard it described as killing your darlings. And I think that is horribly violent. It never felt good to me. In terms of practicing that detachment, like utter, like you're so excited about this idea. It's like writing. It's like whenever we write something, you're so like, oh my God, I can't believe this came through me. I love the way you nerd out over like the alliteration of it and all of that in an instant. If it doesn't work or if it's not right for the audience, then you have to slash it. I prefer, instead of killing your darlings, I prefer you're just going to put it on the clipboard because it's going to come out in your life. You're going to be able to use it.
Now I have a picture of this doll like clipped to a clipboard.
This absolutely massacred, dismembered effluent on the pinned up to the clipboard right on your bed, and you're going to use that somewhere. You shouldn't have slashed it because you're going to be able to use it somewhere. That elephant in the room.
Yeah,
that reminds me when we did a improv festival in Conejo Valley, California, and I wrote a song for us, an original song that kind of introduced our name, and I had written this song. So we were getting closer, and I could tell Mo was going to be like, Katy, I think we need to cut one of the verses, and I'm like, it's my baby. I wrote this. Okay, fine. And then it was the right choice because it was too long. She was like, we're going to take that verse and set it aside for now and not do it at this event. And I was like,
it's hard though.
Okay.
And that's another thing that I'm glad that we have each other because we have that trust. And it's like when you make those, we call them fix your face moments. And we can tell you that story if you want to hear it. But I got my ass chewed out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay. So we'll tell you the story. So this is a good story. So we've got 2 hours left. Yeah. Okay, good.
Okay.
So we met at a female barbershop, kind of like a speed dating for quartets. We got into a quartet out of that. And so our quartet, the 4 of us were doing our very first performance. And it was not just our friends and family, people that understood barbershop. It was like a legit audience. And we're like, I don't know, it's like 2 minutes before we go on stage. We're backstage
we're doing this really complicated piece where all the parts have a moving part. And I'm concerned because every time Bo does her moving part, you can tell she's like struggling with it. And, my time has come. This is what I do for a living. I coach people in performing.
Struggling is a bit of a stretch.
Well, your face does this thing. So I decided with about a minute and a half to go, I was like, Mo, I really think it would just help your performance and make you feel more at ease if you did not make that face during that part. Is that something, on which you could work for?
No.
So you're not going to.
That's not how it went.
That's exactly what I said.
24 seconds before 20. Yeah. So she thinks 24 seconds before we go on stage, she goes, Mo, fix your face. And then 20 seconds.
Like that.
It was 20 seconds later, we had to go out and I've got this, like I'm still traumatized by this. I've got PTSD on the stage because my part's coming up. It's a solo. It's kick-ass. I do it awesome, but I have to fix my face.
So somewhere between our 2 stories lies the truth,
but more towards mine.
It always does.
But what you talk about the cyclical nature of it, what came out of that now is we're like, when we legit have something we need to, hey, can we have a fix your face moment? I think that last verse has to go. Or we just expedite now. We're like, I have to say something, fix your face. And we know that, how we always taught at the zoo, right? Shit sandwich, positive, negative, positive. Like it's fix your face. That's one piece of the bread. Here comes the shit. It's not going to be good, but fix your face, do this, and then you look pretty. So
Shit,
but
no.
it has it again. That goes back to the trust that we know. Like if she's got to be honest with me and give me some feedback of something that's not on my radar, it's because she wants the best for me as not just a performer, a business partner, a best friend, but as a person. It's something that I'm just not, that I'm not noticing that I could be better, and that takes a lot of trust.
However, we
Yeah,
also had a lot of Katie has this phrase, relational equity, and I love that because at that point in our friendship and our relationship, you had the relational equity to say to me, "Fix your face," meanly and beratingly and condescendingly, ish. But, um, but a lot of times we overestimate how much relational equity we have with other people when we start, coming in and offering our opinions. I'm talking to all the in-laws out there. No, I'm just kidding. No, but we come in and we think we have the relational equity to provide unsolicited feedback, and that's not always the case. And so actually what fix your face means to me is when I'm about to fix someone else's face, I first think, do I have that is that the kind of relationship I have? Can I ease into a thing where I'm giving feedback, or do I just let them go through the whole conversation with like breadcrumbs on their face? And usually it's just let them go
Or
hold the
bobby
conversation.
pins in their hair that they don't know about.
And honestly, I'll get there, you'll see. But when I see someone's fly is down, the first thing I do is make sure mine is up, because I want to make sure I'm not criticizing something or fixing something that I have the same flaw, right? So,
what a brilliant metaphor that
I
is.
know. Speaking of, nope, I'm good. Yeah,
Your fly.
yeah. But I think again, it's that, do you have that relational equity to speak into someone's business like that, or maybe it's something we keep to ourselves? But that's what fix your face means to me.
Yeah.
In addition to the hurt and fetal
Years,
position, thumb
hours of
sucking,
therapy.
crying that I do
Yeah, she's gonna be
whenever
okay.
I recall it. Don't touch me.
Okay, so I have a super nerdy question
Yes.
for you, just sort of an aside, and specifically for you, Mo, and then how it bounces off your particular constellation of attributes, Katie. But Mo, was your anxiety about timing, and was there, if I can call it that, like the preparation the meticulous preparation and the unbelievably amazing preparedness that you have, was that impulse that you had before the United States Air Force Academy, before you SAFA, or was that something, in other words, is it nature or nurture? Did you have it, and did that compel you to want to pursue the Air Force Academy in some part, or is it something that you really learned at the academy and carry with you into now this next chapter?
Wow, it's a good question. I think that I always had that. For example, I remember as a kid, I would practice telling jokes, like not just knock knock one-liners, but if I'm in the car by myself, I practice storytelling. I practice jokes. And I remember as a kid doing that because my dad was a terrible storyteller. Oh my God, he was terrible. Oh, I won't put you guys through it, but yeah, he was terrible. And so I always wanted to be a better storyteller. And so I know as a kid, I would practice storytelling. And in fact, we have both unearthed creative writing journals. And I found, like, I must've been 7 or 8. And the best I can decipher, I would give myself writing assignments, like if I were moving or how I feel about this. And I would write for a page about, and at first I thought maybe my parents would give me a writing assignment every day, until I got one was, if I were a moron. That was the name of the article. And I'm like, probably my parents did not give me this assignment. So no, I'm not, but but I definitely think the academy either let it flourish a little more in the meticulous. I've always been anal retentive. Like my clothes, even as a kid, were always color coded, and I've always had an affinity for order and the lack of entropy, because entropy was alive and well in our house. But I love order and structure, even before the academy. So that's definitely something that I think the military kind of fine-tuned for me. But
Oh,
Katie has also helped me let go of that a little bit.
Because I'm a hot mess.
The hottest.
I am such a butterfly. I am like on to the next thing before I can finish the first thing. And I am all over the place. But there are some things I like to be organized. I mean, I run a business, so anyway.
I love this though. I think that's something I think that's fascinating to me because there is no one universal way to do something, right? This is the beauty of this life experience where all these radically different jigsaw puzzle pieces that somehow fit together and make this experience, this earthly experience, so incredibly soulgasmic, for lack of a better term. But and I'm curious because you have such different styles and such different particular constellation of attributes. How have you rubbed off on one another, if you can even speak to that?
That's a really good question.
Because now you have a business together, and now you're stepping on stage together, and you're stepping on stage with, and you don't know if that parachute or if that knapsack is a parachute. And to be honest, like, doing improv, you're like, that shit. That knapsack is not a parachute. It's a backpack, shit balls. I mean,
no. But I know that whether it's a parachute or a knapsack, Katy has got snacks in there. I guarantee you. So
and probably a game.
Yeah.
And maybe a coloring book. I mean, I'm the girl you want to be next to on a plane or a bus. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I bring the party.
Yeah. No, but I think you have definitely, you have given me perspective that I needed and I need. I will always want to make a spreadsheet out of everything. And even when we're memorizing our TED Talk, this was a funny thing too, is that as office supplies are my love language, but she was the one who made index cards of our talk. I made hieroglyphics. I have our entire talk on 9 pages of hieroglyphics.
It's going in the Smithsonian.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really cool.
But yeah, I mean, there's definitely things you have. So Katie's, your tagline for your music studio was where the music in your heart comes to life. And I don't like singing by myself, and definitely as a baritone in the quartet. That's the part that you should not hear, but it's an essential piece, but you should not hear it. It's the garbage. It's literally the garbage notes left over from the rest of the chord. But when I get to sing with her, because she writes all of our songs, and so when we do duets, it's songs that are originals by her. I love singing with you. I don't like singing. I don't like being heard as a singer, but I like singing with you, and because you make me better. And so there's something about that. It's like when, and again, if we had only focused on the things that made us different, I would never have known that. I would never have known that our weirds match. I would never known that I could be better than I am by being with somebody who's so different than me. So
I think too, that the value when you're working with somebody too, is in the accountability, in getting things done. Like I at the end of the day, when we're doing things and we're getting ready for something, I don't want to let Mo down. That's part of it. And I know it's not my complete responsibility to make sure, but I want to pull my weight so that I can represent us well. And I think one thing, I grew up in a very musical family, and we relied a lot on our natural ability. So it was always, so it's the scenario I use. If we were singing for church on a Sunday morning, we were picking a song on Saturday night. And
that gives me anxiety.
Just hearing about that now
gives me anxiety.
But I have really learned the value of what it feels like to get up and be well rehearsed, more so than I used to be, and to be prepared. And I love how much we rehearse, because I know we find gifts in the rehearsal. So I think it's made me not want to just rely on, well, I could get up and make this work, but it makes me want to be like, no, I want this to be as wonderful as an experience for myself and for everybody involved as possible.
Well, and that's, the having a wonderful experience for yourself is when we go out and try to create unforgettable experiences. If we are so like just heads down and focused on our content or our delivery or our shtick, we don't get to see what the audience really needs. That's not the best way to care for the audience. And so when we are prepared, we can actually enjoy ourselves more, which means the audience enjoys themselves more, because we know what we're going to do. We know when we're going to cut each other off. She knows that I'm not going to say fuck. I'm going to say F, and she's going to cut me off. Like, we know. I just said fuck now though.
I didn't cut you
sorry.
off. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
but I think that with anything in life too, the more prepared you are, the more ready you are when things go wrong. Because that's something you tell your performers, right?
Yep. Yep.
It's not a matter of if something's going to go wrong. It's something's going to go wrong. And we what if everything. In fact, the script we're writing, we're like, okay, there's going to be a bigger gap here, and here's why. And what do we do if this happens? We need some fill materials. We have stuff that's not crucial to the MC portion, but it's better than us going,
So,
hey,
So
but we're
you're
prepared.
literally taking that pink elephant off the clipboard and you're just having it at the
Right.
ready.
Right. Right.
I get it.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So there's something to be said for being prepared for what it is you're getting ready to put out there. Again, whether it's you're proposing to someone, whether it's asking the boss for a raise, whether it's talking to your kids, the more prepared you are in what you are going to deliver, the more present you're going to be with the person who's receiving that. You have something
This
on
is
your
such
nose?
Yep, I'm sorry. Gotta stop brown nosing. Anyway, this is something that like you hit the nail right on the head in terms of like allowing yourself to be present when you have it in your bones, when you have that muscle memory. It's
Mhm.
just like playing ball. It's just like, doing anything in terms of if you are so solid in what you're going to do, you intend to do, you can do, then it allows you to be present and open to any scenario. Like
Mhm.
and it's a and it's a difficult sort of tightrope to walk because I so appreciate you nerding out
Oh,
over this
all day, all day.
because truly like I grew up like very self-regimented. I mean, like you, like I had everything color coded, everything was like as anal as it gets in terms of being like meticulous. And sometimes in that state, especially for something like performing or doing anything that involves one other person or an
Yep.
audience full of people, you miss it when you
Mhm.
have your head down and you're trying to just stick to the plan, like you miss it. And
Yep.
especially handling heavy machinery like an airplane, like you have to have that in your bones, muscle memory to be able to improv, to be able to
Yep.
be agile in the moment.
Yep.
And especially with something like an audience where that third that you're talking about, that's so reciprocal. It's like breathing. You're
Mhm.
vibing with the audience. You need them and their feedback, and they need you and what you have to offer. So it is a living, breathing organism.
Mhm.
And if you're so myopic and you don't allow yourself to be, eyes up, then you're going to miss that beautiful kinetic connection that you
Yep.
have with
Yeah.
another person or another entity, such as an audience.
Yep.
And for those of us who sort of like learn how to be less regimented
Yep.
but not go all the way over to the to the left side or right side of my brain, area of being like completely butterfly, which I have that part of me too, like to find that sort of middle ground and that beautiful choreography of what you're talking about without somebody who is radically different in their process to sort of reflect back to you. It's tough. It's
Yeah.
tough to
Mhm.
find
Well,
that
and it's
middle ground.
dynamic too, though, right? Because it's not always it's not a static thing. So sometimes you are more butterfly, and sometimes you're just pulling your microphone out.
I
Oh
do
my
have to
God, how
say I'm really proud of Mo for the way she's grown in improv since we've been working together.
God.
And we've done some really, really good improv training.
I feel like I
And
know what you're gonna say.
so the first time we did improv, Mo goes, "Look, I will do improv with you. Just write me a script. Tell me what to say." I'm like, so that's not improv. But she has gotten to where she trusts her instincts and her funny more, and there's a lot of improv elements we do with our variety show that are just delightful. But I've seen her grow in that because she was willing to do it without a script.
Well, in my defense, Polo, from the military, I've always known my entire life, even before military, that the first thought that comes to my head should not be the first thing that comes out of my mouth. The military made it worse. I even more so knew that.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Yeah, no,
Anyway, a lot of trouble.
But I remember it was in 2019, the first time I did improv. They're like, "Yeah, just say the first thing," and I said, "I got to sit this one out. I can't do this." And I had been less than a year retired, And I stayed after the class and I said, listen, I can't do this improv because I can't guarantee that the first thing that comes out of my mouth isn't going to be sexist, misogynistic, racist, I don't know, foul mouth, and they're like, it's okay. And it was the first time I've been in a safe space. I was to tears because it was the first time I was in a space that not only was it going to be okay for me to possibly say something foul mouthed or, I have a 12-year-old boy's gutter brain. So,
Amen.
But not only was it, accepted, it was almost encouraged. And 30 years in the military, that's not how we rolled, so is rolled the past tense? Rowl is not how we rowl. Anyway, it wasn't how things were done. Right.
Feel free to rolled that way now.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
And there's oh God, I love you pointing this out because I too obviously had to move through that hurdle of just coming from a space of like analyzing it 50 different perspectives, what was going to come out of my mouth.
Yeah, in a second, less than a second.
In less than a second, absolutely. And all of those shields of like, is this okay? Is it appropriate? Is it okay? Is it going to offend somebody? And like all of those sort of protective measures that we have before something comes out of your mouth cannot be in improv. It just can't.
Yeah,
the whole thing is don't think, right? I mean,
right.
All the improv that
I mean, that's where I excel. That's really not thinking is where that's my wheelhouse right there.
And you found your calling. And you found that safe space. But truly, there's something to be said for practicing that mechanism in a safe space, because therein you open up that portal to these brilliant, happy accidents, to that brilliant creativity that sort of courses through us, right? Like,
hey, so we're laughing because the script we're working on has a paint theme, and one of the uniforms I'm coming out in is as Bob Ross. And
We've got a Bob Ross wig arriving from Amazon tomorrow.
And you just said happy little accidents.
What a happy little accident. Oh my God.
Perfect.
I cannot wait to see this or hear about it.
Hey, I didn't realize that Bob Ross was in the military for 20 years. He was in the Air Force.
You're kidding me.
No, he was stationed mostly in Alaska, and that's a lot of the scenery is inspired by his assignments in Alaska.
See, we are, if nothing, educators.
The more you know.
Absolutely are.
Did you just do the story?
Is that a true fact for that PSA? Okay. All right.
Yeah. Well, it's on Wikipedia. Hello. You can't just put random shit on there.
Oh, wait, you can't.
Nope.
Never mind.
No, sir. Can't edit that one bit.
No, not one bit. Not everyone can get in there.
I'm so glad that you brought up your new venture in terms of unforgettable experiences. May I ask you, from your experience, from your opinion, whatever you want to say, what makes an experience unforgettable?
It's an experience that you remember.
Wow.
Thank
that
you.
you don't forget.
No,
that was
that
so
you
deep.
remember.
Okay. All right. Not forget.
What is the secret sauce is what I'm asking. What makes a friggin' experience unforgettable? Are there components?
So we ended up at Unforgettable Experiences as we were pulling our TED Talk together because we were trying to come up with a core idea, and it took longer than we thought. We were like, this is not going to happen. And then it did. But we had a heart-to-heart talk about why is it that we do what we do? And a lot of what we do is, even when we're traveling together, is making connections with the people who are checking your bags at the airport or waiting on you at the table, or like making those moments count. And again, schwacking people. We're just running around the world schwacking people. And it all came down to thank you. We wanted it to be very clear what we do. Mo and Katy's show is how our brand started, but it's like nobody really knows what the Mo and Katy show is. I mean,
including Mo and Katy.
If you've experienced it, then you kind of know. But Unforgettable Experiences is something that we can deliver with any of the things that we do. But we will create an unforgettable experience.
But what makes an experience unforgettable, our viewpoint is, it's when monotony is disrupted. So the disruption of monotony, whether it is, and again, the story that sticks out for me is we were getting on a red eye flight, and whatever the red eye, what do you call it, a blue tail when it's early in the morning and then you fly, and then not overnight.
Pilot.
Anyway, edit that shit out.
Never.
So we were getting on a flight at 6 a.m, And we were on, just in line on the jet bridge. And I'm watching this flight attendant just like, good morning, welcome aboard, good morning. And no one's listening to her. And I came at it from a place of pity. I'm like, what a thankless job, right? And so some people are saying thank you and they don't mean it. It's just like, how are you? And no one answers, right? And so the way we approach those kind of interactions is, how can we disrupt that monotony? Because that's a form of monotony, right? Good morning, welcome aboard. Good morning, welcome aboard. So when we got up to her, and again, one of us starts talking and the other one just jumps in. We just go all in. And so we get up to her and we're like, hey, listen, I know we're sitting in row 38. So I don't know if the champagne will make it back. The service will make it back there during this short flight, but we are in 38. And so if you don't get to us with the champagne, we understand. 2 seconds and we're gone. She's like, she laughs. She goes, okay, welcome aboard. Good morning. Welcome aboard. So we go back and we crash because it was like 6 a.m. We fall asleep. We wake up and the same flight attendant comes back to us. She was like, thank God you guys are finally awake. I've been carrying these the entire flight. I wanted to give them to you. Give us 2 bottles of champagne in row 38. Right. And we didn't have that interaction. We didn't say, how are we going to get champagne in row 38? Now. Right. We just went at it here is somebody who's doing this thankless job, and it's a repetitive thing, and she's doing it 3 flights a day, and she's done it for 20 years based on her wrinkles. And you just want to go and it's like, how can I disrupt her monotony? How can I disrupt that monotony of that moment? And it was just by saying something stupid that becomes unforgettable. And that experience, I'm not talking about going to Disney World with the whole family, because that sounds crazy. But it's even the most little mundane things. Mm-hmm. So one thing we say is whether an experience, whether a moment is mundane or whether it's monumental, there's meaning in there. And if there's a chance to disrupt the monotony and make it just a little blip on the radar, that's what makes it unforgettable. It's just something that disrupts monotony. That was a short answer.
And I'm sorry, we've run out of time. No, yes. I'm just kidding. But,
we're out of tape.
I love this. I absolutely adore you breaking that down, because first of all, your TED Talk about disrupting monotony is brilliant. And I hope everybody watches it. And that same pattern disruption is the recipe for comedy, right? Like breaking patterns is what creates a laugh.
1, 2, 3.
Right? It opens up, boom. It opens us up to connection. It cracks sort of open that repetitive pattern, which is not redundant at all. Anyway, but it disrupts us enough to crack ourselves open so that this beautiful spark of connection can reach us, and it inspires laughter, right?
Yep.
What would you say is the magic of laughter, the power of humor? Because it's a mechanism you use in everything. Case in point with the flight attendant. What is the magic in your own, just sort of, I don't know, nerdy opinion?
What is the magic of humor? I really, and I think we both have a high appreciation for humor that is well thought and clever. And I mean, there's the pratfalls and the fart jokes and like that kind of blatant stuff that's funny.
You?
Comedy gold.
Small booth.
Yeah.
But actually taking time to assess the situation, going through the files of your brain very quickly. That's why I love puns. You're going through the files of your brain really quickly and coming up with something that is thoughtful. And then when we go to restaurants or we travel, we'll have an interaction with someone and our code is, okay, she can hang.
Yeah.
Like the other night, our waitress, we're like, okay, she can hang. We can joke around with her for the next hour because she can hang. So just finding that connection with people in noticing things and bringing them to light in a clever and funny way. I mean, I think
laughter and humor, laughter is the byproduct of humor or something funny or whatever. But I think laughter is, I know it is. It's universal. I mean, like every culture laughs. Animals laugh. I mean, that is a universal thing. And when you can find something kind of like these solar flares that are going on or the eclipse, it's bringing everybody together. And I think physiologically, there's something that happens with like your pulse and your heart rate and your blood sugar levels or something, I don't know, or your erectile dysfunction. But something happens when you're laughing together, that level of connection It's an inside joke that you share, even just for that moment. So if it's a variety show, it's an inside joke that happens just for that show or that talk or that event when somebody ambushed us on the trivia stage and we had this drive-by. She goes, "Your answer's wrong, and I'll tell you why later." And then she just ran off anyway, that's a whole nother story. But I think that there's something universal about laughter. And I think there's something that's that release mechanism. And I was talking about this to somebody else we were talking to recently. And it was even in the concentration camps, they had skits and variety shows. And if that doesn't tell you how important humor and laughter and that release is, I cannot think of any other scenario where something is so dire that there were some prisoners who chose to give up their meal and instead spend that time and go to these variety shows so that they could laugh. I mean, honestly, that just validates again why I deal in that currency. And it validates again why I love how well we can do that and bring laughter to people, because there's times when that's all that's left to do is laugh.
And we've had people approach us after a variety show too, saying, "I don't know the last time I've laughed this hard, and I didn't realize how badly I needed it." Because we get so in the trenches of life. I mean, life sucks. Life is hard sometimes,
especially when you're an adult. I mean,
and
taxes, bills
sucks, man. But being able to be in a room with people and just have something amuse you for a while, like it's that reprieve. And we often call what we do a long-lasting momentary distraction. It's like, hey, don't worry about that. Look over here. Woo. But I think it's important, and there is a magic to it. And to just be able to connect that way, it's really, really something special.
It's something so special, and you two do it brilliantly. And maybe for our audience, if we find ourselves sort of looping around in that revolving door of life, sort of stuck in that same pattern of our daily routine, what advice, maybe just a quick couple of things, what advice would you give people to disrupt that monotony?
I would say, and this is something we've done before in our workshops, is know your currency, know your language. So ahead of time, there are those creature comforts that are always going to guarantee. For Mo, it's office supplies. She
I
loves
walk up and down
waltz through Staples. I like to go to thrift stores. I like to just go on little treasure hunts. What's your favorite ice cream? What's your favorite, self-care? Do you like to get a massage or a pedicure? Like, know those things when you're in a good place, so that when you are in a place where things are challenged, know what you can do to take care of yourself. And you've got to, it's the oxygen mask thing. You've got to take care of yourself before you can take care of other people in your life. So I think just know those things when you're healthy, so that when you've got your go-tos. We have this thing called the reboot checklist, where you've got spaces, who's your person, what's your drink, what's your dessert, like what are your things, what are your go-tos?
Because you forget those things when you're not, we say not well, but like we both filled out our guilty pleasures checklist. And there was a time I just felt like shit. I just was, in the spiral, probably off my meds. And then I was like, I don't know what I need. And I just happened to look at that. And it, was like, one of my guilty pleasures is walking up every aisle at Staples, because it brings me order, right? There's order in that chaos. So I'm like, thank God I had that, because I forgot about that in that moment. So I got in the car and I literally went to Staples and I felt better. I mean, not as much as my Zoloft did, but I felt better. And something I'm going to put a little bit more poetically than Katie's suggestion.
Yes,
but
please, always help
I
me.
always say, pull your head out, because I think people are so, especially with all the screenagers, and we're all just in our devices and stuff, and we're so inward looking. If you pull your head out and just notice things around you, you notice things. I mean, you when you aren't just walking onto a jet bridge and, kind of this background noise of, well, hi, welcome aboard, good morning, welcome aboard. And if you pull your head out and just look at that person and find a way to connect. I know you had an interaction with a cashier, and she was like, my whole goal is to make her smile or make her laugh. And then you start looking for those little things. Maybe it's the earrings they're wearing. Maybe it's the shirt they're wearing. Maybe it's the fact that their zipper is down. But it's just pull your head out and get outside of yourself and look at other people and find those ways to connect. I mean, we all have something in common, whether it's a dog or a baby, or I don't think pregnant women don't like it when you go up and rub their bellies. Is
Not
that true?
typically,
Yeah. So
no.
especially was that guy. I don't think he was pregnant, but he was big.
Rookie
I'm
mistake.
sorry, I'm going to need proof. We're going to
But I think just, yeah, if you can look around and say, okay, I'm feeling challenged, I'm going to make someone else smile. I'm going to make someone else laugh. And it gets our, and we all go through hard stuff. So just pulling your head out, looking around and refreshing your own perspective.
This makes me think of, curiosity as the antidote to anxiety, and it's sort of a similar thing of pulling your head out and looking at another. It's like walking on stage. If you want to use an improv reference, it's walking on stage. And if you're nervous, then become really curious about your scene partner, I mean, or if you're going into a speed dating type of situation, or if you're going into a party, and if you're going, that curiosity of what you're saying, like pull your head out and look around, become curious about your environment, become curious about the people around you, and it lessens our anxiety, gets us out of our own head, it gets us out of our own way. And therein lies a plethora and sort of a magical bouquet of all the things you could ask about, want to know about, like what's going to make this person smile and laugh is my favorite game ever in the world to play. Like, what a brilliant game you can take with you, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely.
Well, that's what we're next. I think next week we're going to start a battle rhythm of Monday, Wednesday, Friday of having quotes about stepping outside your comfort zone and statistics on things that make people like. I think one of the stats is about a bacon scented business card. Not that you would do that, but they're saying a bacon scented business card makes you 60% more memorable
and hungry.
But I think there are things that we can do. And again, it's not about that extreme of getting. I don't even know where you get those printed, but they would be bovine, wouldn't they? Anyway, yeah.
Bovine.
But I don't know how you would do that.
I'm out. But we're going to start this battle rhythm of thing. And a lot of times it's touring your own backyard, right? So one of the things we do whenever we travel is, and we said this in our TED Talk, when you go from point A to point B. So we drove in January, we had a gig up in Youngstown before our TED Talk. We drove from Maryland up to Youngstown, and I go on Atlas Obscura and I find anything that's kind of near a route of travel. I'm like, we're stopping here and here and here and here. So we went to the Big Mac Museum. We went to this giant quarter, and we went to a building shaped like an ice cream sundae and another building shaped like a coffee pot. So
all
we went
in one trip
from Maryland to Youngstown via the quarter, the coffee pot, the sundae, and the Big Mac Museum. So, and that's not hard. It cost us nothing but a little bit of time, and it made us better. So it was time well invested.
Going back to the bacon reference, I think you cured your road trip.
Nice.
Anyway. No, that's so true. Like it's really celebrating the journey of it as opposed to the destination. And it allows you to be present and look up and around and all the magic that's around you. So what would you say you have learned most from pursuing what lights you up? And I'm talking like giving yourselves permission to follow that energy, to really follow the fun, for lack of a better term.
I think I've learned that I've found that I've tapped back into the things as a kid that I felt made me feel weird. And as specific as this is going to sound, I have been a fan of Jim Henson and the Muppets since I was a child. And I realized the reason is because it was that very clever, smart, quick, often irreverent sense of humor. And when I watched his creations, I felt understood. And I find now on the other side of 50 and in my second act of life,
Damn, you're old.
20 months younger than you. And
she's going to edit that shit out.
Had it for years and it was more than
That's right. That's right. But I find that in my adulthood, I've allowed myself to just tap into those things that make me feel, that feel right for me. And I'm at a stage in my life too, like where I raised my kids. They don't need me in the same way that they used to. And I'm able to kind of focus and tap in onto some things that I want to do. And it happens to be things that Mo and I want to do together, and it's developing this business. But I don't know. Did I answer the question?
What was the question again? What's your
Really
name?
good
Is it?
question.
Yeah.
What my question was, what have you learned most from pursuing what lights you up?
Okay.
And
I think I
maybe a
nailed it.
sub-question to that. Nailed it. Maybe a sub-question to that, since Katie, you brought this up so beautifully, is do you have any surprising sources of inspiration for
Mm,
your work or how you live your life? Muppets is a brilliant, surprising,
yeah.
piece of inspiration.
Yeah.
So feel free, like, what have you learned from what lights you up? Is there any sort of surprising inspiration?
I think it's just honestly, it's just like believing in your own magic and looking around you to other people that do what you do well and surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
And the people that love you well and support you well. And Mo has been huge, huge with that. Like I just feel very seen and understood and heard. And so yeah, just look inward. And we're so taught to, serve and take care of everybody. And yeah, there's a time and a place for that, but we've got to spend that time figuring ourselves out too.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. If you don't know where you stand, then you're just going to kind of glom onto other people that may or may not have the same values as you. I the thing that's really been eye opening for me is when I retired, I did not want to retire. Like it was not that I was forced out, but I wasn't ready because all I ever wanted to be was a general in the Air Force, right? So, and the as I saw that not going to be a reality, I'm like, I'm going to have to retire. And it was not what I wanted to do. I didn't have anything lined up next. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so retirement was this huge monumental moment in my life. And then I realized, 6 years on the other side of it, it was just a blip. And I made a bigger deal out of it. And what was actually bringing me more meaning and more value and more authenticity, because I am way more myself when I'm on stage with you now than I ever was as a colonel in the Air Force. And I think a lot of it is because I trust myself and I can lean into those things that make me different versus the military where we're kind of, we're kind of coloring near or inside the lines. But now I can, we make our own coloring pages. And I think it's not making a big deal out of something that seems to have a lot of significance and not overlooking the things that are mundane, like playing with your best friend and being able to make a business out of it. And so there's meaning in all those things. But because I had put so much weight on my Air Force career, when retirement came rather quickly, I didn't have any identity outside of that. It was like people ask what I did. I'm in the Air Force. That's what I did. That was 30 years of, that's what I do. But now on the other side of it, I'm like, no, that's not all we're never just one thing. We're never just our job or our profession or our, you're a mom, but you're a different kind of mom now because your kids are in a different stage of life. So to me, it was not missing out on the meaning and the mundane. And it wasn't making these big deals out of huge milestone events. I mean, there's meaning in all of it, but it's giving it the weight it deserves and not just because retirement is this big thing, gold watch and all that other stuff. But yeah.
What a beautiful highlight to really celebrate the fact, but in retrospect, look at the fact that so often we do place our identity on one or two things, or,
Yep.
We do throw ourselves into this label. And I find, having experienced a couple of times in my life, maybe more than that, when you are sitting in the rubble of something huge that has exploded, imploded, when you're sitting in the rubble of grief or loss, as in terms of loss of identity or an actual physical loss of love, loss of someone that you care about, when you're sitting in that aftermath, in the silence and rubble-ridden aftermath, is where you are most open to ask the question, who am I? Who am I now?
Yeah.
And to really look with fresh eyes, and for you to conclude that you have a deeper sense of authenticity because you were able to, by hook or by force or by release that identity as the only identity and open yourself up to ask that question, well, who am I now? What do I want to do now? How do I want to spend my time? Like, look at what you found.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And now look at what you can bring to the world. The whole point of these conversations that I wanted to have with people who are really living lives of passion, purpose, and impact, like the two of you, is to is to truly highlight the fact that when we do what lights us up, we make our most powerful and impactful contribution to not only our own life and those that we touch and those around us, but to the world at large. And you two have absolutely done that, because now you have equated humor with literally medicinal healing, which it is.
Yeah.
So the fact that you are tapped in enough to know to care for yourself and then have fun and let that be the contagion that you spread to audiences worldwide. Oh, you are healers.
Demons out.
Hallelujah.
We need more tambourines. That's our next merch. And
There you go.
maracas, because that's just fun.
That's just fun.
Okay.
Yes.
Just
Just as long as you pick your song for church more than the Saturday night before. Okay, all right.
Please,
That's how I
please.
was raised.
Love it. Take us to church. So we always end our podcast with a heart seat round of questioning. It's a hot seat question round for your heart. So whatever bubbles up, please feel free to answer individually or together. Are you ready for our heart seat round of questions?
Is it a competitive?
No,
points?
it's not competitive. Now stop.
It's not competitive, but
We're
it is
both
fun.
competitive. She's
It
more
is.
competitive.
She's more competitive. I mean, I'm more competitive. I mean, I'm just slightly more competitive than
She's
she
more
would ever
competitive, but I laugh harder and louder. So
Oh, this is going to be so good.
Okay,
Please
we're
feel
ready.
free to answer. First thought, no censoring.
Uh-oh.
What would you say is your core code? Your top 3 personal values?
laughter, connection, and loving others.
Ooh,
Good thing I went first. You can't say those. same
definitely
three things.
connection. I want to say loving people well, though, too.
Sorry, that's already been taken. Should have gone first.
And puns. All the puns.
Amen. Amazing. What daily routines do you have that are non-negotiable?
Herkel Durkling.
She does like a good Herkel-Durkel.
Do you know what that is?
I
If you listen-
absolutely do. I herkled-durkled this morning just a tiny little bit. All around my bed, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Coffee.
And
Coffee
Oh.
is non-negotiable. Copious amounts of coffee. And I don't want to brag, but I have been doing my Elevate Smart Brain Games for 1,063 days in a row.
I mean, had I been doing them, I would have been able to calculate that. But as it stands, I'm just going to smile and nod. That's amazing. Wow.
I'm on a streak. Yeah. So much to where I get texts. Did you do your Smart Brain Games today? Like, thank you.
We're all invested or committed.
That's right.
Probably is a better
Yeah.
word.
Well, if not now, soon to be committed.
Yeah.
Anyway, what brings you back to center when you feel on tilt or when you feel out of sorts? What brings you back to center?
Wow, these are really good questions.
Mhm.
Honestly, I'm not just saying this because you're standing here, but if we don't see each other, we FaceTime on the daily, and there's just something that centers me about that for sure. And I am fortunate enough that music is a part of my everyday life. So making music, creating music, and getting others like that just makes everything make sense to me.
Yeah, I don't think I have one thing, but it's weird, but spreadsheets in Canva, like where I can go into Excel or numbers for the apples, and really when it comes to actually being at the warehouse, it's anytime that I can create order out of chaos. So if I can create a formula that organizes something, or if I can sort something because it's in a chaotic state and I can organize it into something, it's any time that I can create order out of chaos. And so Excel and Canva are probably the 2 things that I would say.
That is amazing. And
It's
I know
weird,
that I'm
but
going to file away for later and have you be my life coach later. What would you both consider to be your purpose, your life's mission, if you could summarize it?
I'm going to go first because I've always said that the thing that I want to be known for is that I that I loved others well. So whether it's an audience or whether it's my mom or my niece, or even if it's an enemy, I want to make sure that I take care of them and I love them well. That's the legacy I want to leave.
I've had the privilege of teaching people of all ages to make music for over 30 years and helping people find their voice and making them and again, it's a tagline of my business, but making the music in their hearts come to life. So allowing people to know that they are able to make music. That's huge. And I'm going to steal Love People Well too, because I think that's important. So I'm stealing yours.
Wow, that's beautiful. Okay, so our final question. What is something that very few people, if anyone, know about you?
Wow.
I'm kind of an open book. I have some weird quirks. And I think I'll list them all because I think people know most of them. Cannot stand the sound of chewing, humans chewing. I will listen to a goat, a sheep, my dog. I will feed my dog ice cubes so I can hear it chew. A horse, fine. Humans, I cannot. Even my own. Like, I have to turn the TV on when I'm going to get real passionate about this. Can't stand the feel of newspaper. Have to put my right sock and right shoe on first. That's about it.
Okay.
But the chewing, for sure, the chewing.
I wish I remembered the it's a phobia. Do you know the name of it?
Misophonia.
Misophonia.
Yep.
Of course you know the name of it, for the love
Of
of
course
God.
I do. Yes. It's
It
real. It affects two people every year.
You and your wife?
Yeah. No, it's her chewing. Oh, Jenny. No. She knows.
I am afraid of bats. I don't like my shoes being tied too tight. I have really lovely cursive handwriting.
She does. You do.
I am freakishly good at state capitals.
No one cares.
She rolls her eyes. And I was born without wisdom teeth.
She's going to edit out the teeth, you know. I was born without wisdom.
I could give her K9 or 10 more
Oh,
reasons.
Lord God Almighty.
I won't
No,
edit it
hey,
out.
no more questions.
I won't edit out your teeth because God did that before you were born. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience before we sign off for the day?
No, I just want to say thank you, Polo, for making this opportunity so that people's voices can be heard, because everyone has a story. And I think by having these conversations with different people, your listeners are going to start tapping into their own stories, because every once in a while we hear this one word or this earworm, and all of a sudden it kind of takes us into this other area. So thank you for having the conversations, for asking questions that are challenging, and for just making this space so that people can find their own soulgasm on their own.
Well, they're Herkel-Durkling.
Yes. We always recommend a good Herkel-Durkle. So if you ever want to Herkel-Durkle together, I would invite that.
Well, I just want to say,
Best offer I've had all month, by the way. And I will take you up on that. Anyway, keep going.
Well, it's early in May, so you know.
I just want to say, I want to encourage anyone listening to look for the perfect little moments, because they are out there. And just if you look for them, you will find them. And
if you can't find them, sometimes you just have to create them.
That's right. And just go make somebody else laugh or smile today. And don't forget to do the same yourself.
And check your zipper.
I want to thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I don't know why she's always you take a perfect moment and then you add some 12-year-old boy fart. Can I do this with my armpits? No. Okay. Sorry.
I love the 12-year-old boy in you. Okay.
Yes. Oh, that's disgusting.
Well, we know each other quite well, and we resonate with one another, me and that 12-year-old boy. Anyway, I think we were in the same Boy Scout troop. Anyway, I in turn want to thank you both, because just knowing you, and I think about you both far more than we speak. And every time we speak is just a total honor and a pleasure. And Mo, you remind me what it means to love people well. And Katy, every time we get a chance to interact, you remind me to find the music of my soul and not be afraid to express it. So I love you both dearly. I mean
We
that
love you too,
you.
Polo.
and it's such a pleasure to be able to connect with you. And my proposition to you is let's do this in person.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll drive.
If you are open to it.
Yes, please.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah, let's do a show in person. I remember
Oh my God, that would be dangerous.
standing around in a circle before our TED Talk and doing a
She
little
talks about
improv,
that all the time.
Loved it.
giving me
Loved
rolling chills. Let's do this shit in person.
Yeah.
that.
We're in.
awesome.
We're in. We're so in.
And maybe we can start by Herkle-Dirkling a little bit and then just
A
get to the
little
shit
bit.
part.
If
Right.
there's coffee.
Only if there's coffee. I love you both. Thank
I
you for
love you
coming
too.
on
Love you
Soulgasm
too,
with
Polo.
Polo Rio Tate.
Thank you.
Thanks, Polo.
Yay.
I want to be like
I know
her.
you're trying to be like Polo.
Wow. Show a little skin. You nailed what this podcast is about. No, I'm just kidding. Oh my gosh. I cannot tell you how good it is to see you both.
We were just saying, we're like, when's the last time we saw you, man?
It's
It's
been a
been a
minute.
while.
It has been such a long time. I feel was there like a pandemic in there somewhere?
No, it was an election year. Is that 2020 you're talking about?
And right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pandemic election year for that year. Same
Same
difference.
difference.
Whoops.
Mass carnage. Whatever. Same difference.
Did you say mask carnage?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, pun heavily intended. Well
Nice.
played. I tip my tiny, tiny hat to you. I have a proposition for you guys at the end of this, but we'll get into all of that. So
The answer's,
right.
the answer's yes.
Always.
is there anything that any concerns, questions, thoughts? Everything is welcome here. Please don't worry about language. Like, let's fuck some shit up.
Yeah, I don't want to fucking cuss on this one. So
Watch your fucking mouth. All right.
you watch your fucking mouth. I'll watch my fucking mouth. Who's gonna watch Katie's fucking mouth?
It's not going to be necessary.
So, how do you think we're going to get the audience? People are going to be watching Katie's mouth.
Give the people what they want.
Where are you right now? Just
We're in the closet.
We are.
Oh
Literally.
my God, I thought you left that behind long ago. Jeez.
I just try to pull the straights in with me every once in a while.
So I feel like I should start every podcast or everything that I do on camera with be like, hi, my name is Polo Rio Tate, and this is my hair today. I'm sorry. I don't.
It's me. This is my hair.
Maybe your hair should introduce itself.
I think your hair should have its own podcast.
Yeah.
I believe it thinks it already does. Like
Yeah.
it's like, we're gonna do this today. Settle down. Settle down. Anyway, let's officially begin